Stop. 3, 2.
There you go, another picture game.
Okay, sorry about that. Welcome back. Welcome back to the TTown 411 report. I'm your host, Darren McKinstry. We're broadcasting live from McKinstry Banquet Hall, located at 5480 Jug Factory Road here in Tuscaloosa, and we're also broadcasting live on Soundbooth Radio 106.1. Mike, tell them how can they chime in on Soundbooth Radio 106.1.
Sure thing, Daryl. Check us out on the radio side of Soundbooth Radio. Just go to your iOS or your Google Play Store. Download the Live 365 app. Download that app. Then you go to the search bar, type in Soundbooth Radio 106.1. That is going with us on the radio side of Soundbooth Radio. Check us out on the video side. Just go to Facebook or YouTube. Once you go to either one of those two pages, you type in Sound Booth Radio 106.1. That'll get you on with us on the video side of Sound Booth Radio or Sound Booth TV.
Well, as always, we bring you the update, the COVID update, and the monkeypox update with our very own Miss Veronica Taylor. Veronica.
Hello.
Hey, Veronica.
Hey. Okay. Hey, Daryl. Hey, Mike. Hi, everybody. The COVID-19 update for today. DCH Health Systems Internal Accounts as of 3:48 p.m. on yesterday, September 28th. State update on Wednesdays. There were 15 inpatients within the DCH system positive for C19, and that's good. That means numbers are down from I think it was 23 or 26 last week. There are 5 inpatients positive for C19 that are being treated in the ICU. 5 patients positive for C19 are being treated on ventilators. Of those, 40% are vaccinated and 60% are unvaccinated or not fully vaccinated. The monkeypox update, there's 25,613 confirmed U.S. cases, with 115 of those in Alabama, 2,520 in Florida. Georgia has 1,785. Mississippi has 85. Tennessee has 287. Now, what concerns me about the monkeypox is that the numbers are going up. They're not going up as fast as when it first came out. But for some reason, it seems like someone has talked to the media, and it's like they don't want to get people in a frenzy. I don't know if because the numbers are growing slowly, or if it's just I don't know forces those that be don't want people to get as panicked or frantic as they did about the other pandemic. But I wish they would do more education about it because the numbers, the U.S. case is 25,000. Thankfully, they're not higher, but it's still around.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's not like you hear much about even monkeypox right now, and you know that it's a very serious contagion that's going on. But you hear about it's like they talk about everything other than it.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they want everybody getting. But my thing with that is that okay, if the numbers are going slowly, you don't want people to panic, but you don't. If things change, perfectly not. Don't continue to be silent.
Well, as
Because it
always,
seems like the news is not saying a word. It's like they've been told to be mum.
just keep it calm for right now. Well,
Right.
as always, we say a prayer for everyone. I want to thank Patricia and everyone that's chiming in with us each and every week on the program. Those of you that seen and unseen, we want to say a quick prayer. If you would just join in with us. Heavenly Father, thank you for this day. Thank you for your mercy. Thank you for your opportunity to come on the airwaves. Heavenly Father, I want to just thank you. Thank you. Right now, Heavenly Father, what we want to do, we're asking that you right now look over the ones that are in Florida. Protect those families right now that's going through this aftermath of this hurricane. Heavenly Father, we want to thank you for your doing and what you have done and what you will do. Heavenly Father, we're asking that you continue to be with the bereavement families. Go out with the sick right now. We're asking that you use your son's healing hand right now and heal those right now. Heavenly Father, we're praying for those families right now. We're praying for all our essential workers in the hospitals and nursing homes and our first responders, our fire and police. And we're praying for our president and our governors right now, Heavenly Father, and all our political leaders. We're saying a prayer for them too. Heavenly Father, we just want to thank you for all you do and you have done for us in the past. We're praying for each and one of our families that's on here. We're asking that you keep us from harm. And we just want to give you all the praise and the glory right now, Heavenly Father. In your Son, Jesus Christ's name, we pray. Amen. Amen.
Amen.
Hurricane. Man, a lot of family members and friends down in Florida. We just want to pray for them, what they're going through right now. Um, just praying for a lot of people, our pastors. And, one part of Tampa, I want to say down towards St. Petersburg. That's a vast majority of African American people. You hear very little about that area. So I hope a lot of people took heed and got to safety wherever they went up North Alabama. North Florida. North Florida or on up to into Alabama, Georgia, and those areas. But,
The sad thing is every time you have a hurricane or something like that, they give out what they call evacuations. It wasn't mandatory evacuation, but you always have those people that's going to try to ride it out. And it's because they don't really want to leave their property because it opens things up to those people that want to loot and so forth and so on, which is a sad thing. But it's also a very dangerous thing when you have the weather like it was. That tornado came in as category 4. I'm sorry, that the hurricane came in as category 4. Went back out into the Atlantic as a tropical storm, and then it gained strength again, and now it's back to being a hurricane, category 1 hurricane heading up north, heading toward the Carolinas. So that's one of them hurricanes that it's gonna cause a lot of damage, especially on the eastern seaboard.
Man, it's causing a lot of damage. It has caused a lot of damage on this inland from Cuba, several islands before it got here, Puerto Rico, different places. So we just praying for everybody that was in the path of that. And as always, we just want to show people that we care and concern about them. Got a lot of calls about the program on Tuesday about Mr. Costello Vaughn. And, a lot of people was concerned and questioned the conversation. So Veronica and I have been notified about a gentleman that had a show that on Facebook, I think. I'm not sure if it's Facebook or YouTube. But he did an exclusive sister interview with the sister of Costello Vaughn, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to show that. Hopefully we won't get disturbed about it or interrupted by it, but we're going to show it and just see what's going on now, the update on Costello Vaughn, okay?
Okay, sound good.
All right, so let's see, can we get it lined up here? And like I said, this is only an exclusive interview of what this, I just let him tell it.
Bullpen. So on Friday, I reported on a story of a man in an Alabama prison who was obviously malnourished, looked as if he was on the verge of death. I reported on this story Friday, and I said on Friday that I would be sending a private investigator and a civil rights attorney into Alabama to that state prison in order to get answers and to make sure that Mr. Vaughn is receiving the medical attention that he obviously needed. Well, we did that this weekend. I also contacted the prison officials there, and made it very clear that either A, I would be given assurance that he was receiving medical attention, or they were going to have to call the local sheriff and have me arrested from the facility. Harry Daniels, civil rights attorney, was able to talk directly with Mr. Vaughn. Mr. Vaughn explained the situation. I also talked with Miss Cassie Vaughn, the sister of Mr. Vaughn. I want to remind you of those pictures on social media that led to this story. Horrific. Go to the next one. Okay? This is what Mr. Vaughn looked like just a couple of months ago. All right. With me today, I have Cassie Vaughn and Casey Vaughn to talk about what's going on with their brother and provide an update to the story. Cassie and Casey, thank you both for being on the show. Let's do this because we're having some issues with the sound. Cassie, I spoke to you directly. I gave you a phone call. You and I were able to connect via social media, and then we talked directly. You told me about Mr. Vaughn and his condition, that basically he was throwing up. He was having some issues with his intestinal tract. They did surgery and then basically left him there without proper care. Other things happened after that. He was not properly cared for. Can you give us an update as to the status of your brother, the medical care he's receiving now, and the representation he currently has?
I visited Mr. Vaughn yesterday after I was not entering to the prison. They called me and let me know to come back and visit him. Mr. Vaughn is still in the same condition that he was in that photo. Mr. Vaughn is using a pamper to use the bathroom. He's depending on the inmates to change his pamper. He hasn't brushed his teeth. They haven't gave him any bath or anything. His hygiene is horrible. He had filthy clothes on.
With Canva, we design thumbnails together.
Before you can skip this ad.
And done.
Wow. What do we do now?
I don't know. The tagline?
And it's a wound on his stomach that is bleeding pus and blood outside of it. Mr. Vaughn obtained 3 lawyers, Harry Daniels, Lee Merritt, and Benjamin Crump. And that is who will be representing him.
Cassie, when you first posted these pictures on social media, you received these pictures with a message that said, get help. Tell us how you were alerted to the condition of your brother.
I was alerted by a fellow inmate inside of Elmore Correctional Facility. They texted me and let me know. They said, Castillo, first off, they called me and they said, please get your brother some help. He is doing so bad. And I said, okay, what is going on with him? They sent me that photo. They didn't want to send me the photo, but I was begging and pleading with them, like, please send me the photo. Let me see how he looks. They sent me that photo and I instantly broke down crying. When I seen that photo, Mr. Vaughn was not recognizable as my brother. Mr. Vaughn, the fellow inmate that reached out to me about Mr. Vaughn, he let me know that Mr. Vaughn needs serious help and he's not going to make it until Monday. So to please seek help right away.
I want to remind everybody that this situation went viral because of Miss Vaughn, Cassie Vaughn, decided to post it on social media. The local media tried to get involved. They attempted to contact the prison officials. They attempted to make contact by way of their channels, their protocol. They were told nothing. They were stonewalled every step of the way. On Friday after the reporting, I made sure I contacted civil rights attorney Harry Daniels. We had a conversation before the segment. He already agreed that he would take this case. And then Harry Daniels and Ms. Vaughn had a conversation. Ms. Vaughn, you and I spoke, and I'm glad that we had that conversation on Saturday morning. You and I spoke. I connected you to Harry Daniels. From what you can share with that conversation, tell us about that conversation with Mr. Daniels.
Mr. Daniels was outraged when he called me. He didn't believe it at all. So I let him know the story and what was going on. And he told me that he is not seeking any lawsuits or anything. He is seeking medical help for Castillo Vaughn.
That was absolutely the primary obligation, is to make sure his health was stabilized. As it stands now, he's alive, but he is still suffering. When you were able to visit him on Sunday after being completely stonewalled by this jail, what was the condition of your brother, and how is he saying the staff has been treating him?
Mr. Bunn stated that the staff is not giving him any medical help. He is actually depending on other inmates to help him do daily things. He is not able to walk. Like I said, he has a pamper that he's using the bathroom in. If no other inmate tries to come and help him change it, he changes his own. Mr. Bunn doesn't have a toothbrush to brush his teeth. His hygiene was, I'm talking about, horrible. He had blood on his clothes, dirty. He was filthy, and he told me to please get him help. He said that state correctional facility is not helping him no more than Elmore was, and that he needs to be in a free world hospital.
Yeah.
Mr. Bunn.
No, I agree. Go ahead, sister. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. And Mr. Bunn also told me that he's afraid to die inside of the prison.
That is such an unfortunate reality that he's facing right now. I need to make note of this. The inmates, the individuals who are his fellow friends inside of the jail, the cellmates, etc., they are the ones that had enough heart to contact you and make you aware of what was going on with your brother. The staff did not do this. The medical team did not do this. The warden, the medical director, nor the head of the facility, they did not do this. As a matter of fact, they did the exact opposite. They tried to keep you away from seeing your brother. Your name was taken off the visitation list. There was absolutely no movement, no transparency. Now there's a little bit of transparency. He's been transferred to another facility, and their spin is he's now receiving the medical treatment that he needs because of this transfer. Well, what we're saying is that that's not true. Mr. Bond is saying that's not true, and all of these attorneys are saying that is not true. He is still in need of actual medical help. So, Cassie, let me ask you this. What should happen this week to make this a situation that your brother can live through?
I believe that Mr. Bunn needs to be transferred to an actual hospital, medical experts that's willing to take the time out to care for my brother's health.
For those who may not know, her brother had to undergo surgery, and while he was incarcerated, obviously, went through surgery. They had to remove a part of his small intestine, and then after the surgery, they left him there. Those pictures that you see, some of those pictures are post-surgery, and according to multiple reports, they're not cleaning him, they are not disinfecting, there are infections that are setting in, and things are still dire for Mr. Bond. For those who would like to help, for those who would like to be part of the movement to protect this life, this is a human being and he should have a human experience no matter what. For those who would like to be part of that, they can contribute to the GoFundMe. Many of you already did it based on the reporting on Friday. Cassie, tell people how they can contribute to the GoFundMe account right now.
The GoFundMe account is named Castillo Bond Health. So you can go on there and donate, share it. That'll help too. The GoFundMe is also in my Instagram. You can reach my Instagram handle at k.assieee, and it is right up under the bio. That's the only thing that's in the bio. And I also have a Facebook, Cassie Bond, Baughan, and you can go on there, and the GoFundMe link is pinned at the top of my page.
The private investigator that I sent to Alabama gave me an update this morning, and he said that the issues that your brother currently is experiencing is not uncommon in Alabama state prisons. Have you heard this as well in your seeking justice for your brother?
Yes, I have.
Okay. We're going to continue to work with you. We're going to continue to advocate for you, and we're going to continue to hold the state prison system accountable. I would not be surprised if the Department of Justice did not get involved. I do think this is a DOJ worthy situation happening right now. Ms. Vaughn, once again, give out the information for those who would like to assist by contributing to the GoFundMe.
The GoFundMe name is Castillo Bond Help, and it is a picture of him when he was healthy on July the 15th. And you can also go and reach my Instagram handle at k.assieee. And I also have a Facebook, and the Facebook name is Cassie Kassie Bun Paughan, and it's pinned at the top of the page. And we would like to thank you all for donating and supporting and getting my brother's story out there so he can seek medical help.
Cassie, I want to say to you, thank you for being the leader that you are. You are a young sister who decided to engage in this way because you knew it could get the attention of others. And you were right. You were so right. We thank you for your leadership. We thank you for the courage that you have. You and your sister, Casey, thank you both. You know I'm here for you. All you got to do is call me or text me. I'm going to keep you updated as to the PI. I'm glad I was able to connect you to the attorneys and make this happen. But we still do not have what we want. We want Mr. Vaughn in a proper medical facility where his life will absolutely be preserved. This makes absolutely no sense. Thank you so much for what you continue to do.
We're back. That's the update on Mr. Vaughn. I hadn't seen anything that the state has posted that I could find as of today. And if you'd like to call in, you can call Mike first, 310-6067, 205-310-6067. We're following this story also. This is a part of the prison debate. The prison debate that we started on Tuesday, and we're still talking about it. And that was just one of the updates right there. I do want to say the sister posted an update regarding her brother. She said, as of today, September the 29th, I have spoken to my brother. He is in good spirit, and we are still praying for him to get better. His feet are still swollen, the size of footballs. The back of his leg and the top of his feet is hard and discolored. He is still not able to walk. He still is using a pamper as an undergarment. The hole in his chest is still there. He thinks that it is infected. My brother is scared to lose his legs and his life. I will keep you all updated. He is still placed at Stanton Correctional Facility. I'm glad that I had the courage to seek medical help for my brother. He could have died, but the God I serve will get him through this. And it's been shared over 179 shares from her page. Let's see.
There are one of the sad things to me about the whole entire thing. First of all, it's another black guy to the state of Alabama, and how they treat they prisoners. Because it was said, they heard about this going on with a lot of people in the Alabama state prisons. It's astonishing to me that this stuff is going on in the state prisons right now, and yet you still trying to build, was it 6 more prisons? Um, I understand, and the sad thing is, you have those people that are actually going out and who are actually voting for the people in charge, who have the same mentality, like, well, they in prison, so they get what they deserve, and you wouldn't do that to an animal, and regardless of if they're convicts, they are still human beings, and they require more. They deserve more than that. Um, Point blank. If he got holes on him, his legs and stuff are swelling up.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's kind of, to me, sounded like he having kidney failure right now.
What amazes me is that the number of people that we hear say free Ray Ray all day, knowing that they in trouble. A lot is saying for this man. But you have some of those same type individuals saying, well, he in prison, but they yell free so and so all the time. And nobody is even saying free him. And they know that those people have committed the crimes. So it's not about him not serving his time. Nobody is saying he's not supposed to serve the time. And some people would like to push that narrative. It's just that where's the humanity, where's the empathy? And no one is saying to him before the victim. No one is saying to release him.
Well,
But you just can't have people. What if he's not the only case? But imagine if that would go on with more than one person.
well, what I haven't heard is what I brought up on Tuesday about the medical furlough.
Mm.
I hadn't heard anyone. Matter of fact, I didn't hear her even bring it up. I hadn't heard the attorney, well, the gentleman that were reporting. I hadn't heard anyone bring it up. And from my understanding, uh, Alabama Department policy allowed medical furloughs for certain genetic permanently incapacitated and terminal ill inmates who meet the eligibility requirements as authorized by the Alabama State Statute Act 2008-550 and is approved by the Commissioner of the Alabama Department of Corrections. And that is a form that can be filed by his sister, his attorney, you, me, anyone that wish to file this form on behalf of Costello Vaughn. Now I got this from the
Does
policy.
it matter what? Does it matter what type of sentence that person is serving, and what type of illness
It's
that he's? Because who knows what they diagnosed him as? We know what they said they treated, but what's his diagnosis? So the furlough will probably be based on what type of illness it is, and if they're serving life in prison or something. I don't know, but I think certain things like that may be taken into account.
I think based on the little information I was able to get, completing the form that's in my way provides, in other words, these are some of the conditions of someone that files the form and um, it gets to approved. First, it got to be filed. That's the first thing. My first thing will be, what has the form been filed? Can it be filed? And will it be shot up the ladder to see what the diagnosis is? I mean, it could be a staff member, it could be the doctors themselves that's at Stanton, but at the same time, I wonder
But
has
that's what I'm saying. There's some stuff because with Crump them on the case, I'm sure they've well looked into that part. So I'm wondering, does he not fit whatever
well,
all of the things that they have to meet?
that would be a good question.
Because with those three attorneys, I'm sure they looked at it.
Oh, much smarter than I am, of course. But there again, is that something that's been noted to the sister, and is that something being considered by the state? Because I mean, of course, well,
But I guess if he doesn't meet certain qualifications, that's what I'm saying. We would need to know what all of the qualifications are because if maybe no one's done it because there's certain qualifications. I don't know. When you looked it up there, were you able to find every qualification or every stipulation that must be met
well, when you say when I
in order
guess
to even file it to begin with? Because you have to have meet certain qualifications for it to be filed.
Are we sure that it has not been filed and it was denied?
so am I?
I said, are we sure that it has not been filed and had been denied?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. We
Mm.
this is something like I said. This form is something I found online that is a part of the Alabama Department of Corrections that says this is the procedure to, or the policy and procedure that's in hand to do this. Now, it's a certain geriatric, permanently incapacitated, and terminal illnesses inmates who meet the eligibility requirements. Now,
and right there, it makes me wonder: do they think that he's incapacitated, permanently incapacitated, or if he's terminally ill? You know, so they oh well, he just lost some weight. It's probably how they looking at it. They'll think that he's terminally ill. So all of that stuff right there, I'm thinking. And once again, the only thing we're doing right here, right now, is speculating.
Right. You have to go by what his diagnosis is. That's why I'm saying, does he meet whatever their qualifications are for the furlough?
that I don't know.
So maybe that's why it hadn't been spoken about being filed if he doesn't. You know.
But once again, I don't know. I'm more leaning toward the fact that it might have already been filed initially and it was denied. Um, but just
I don't know because the girl she just found out though. You know, but you know she just found out, and Dr. Richard would have definitely encountered his PI, and everybody would check on that. I'm thinking more or less, what are the listings when you say they apply for a furlough? What has to be going on? What do they have to be diagnosed with, and what do they have to be labeled as far as their condition?
Well, you know, on Tuesday we had Dave Vanhorn on the line, and like he said, most of that stuff comes down to that prison doctor. So that prison doctor don't say that it's a life-threatening or permanently incapacitating.
Right. So what is the diagnosis? What has he documented? What is the documentation? What does the medical documentation say?
And once again, y'all, we all just speculating here because we don't really know the whole entire situation. You know, we're learning this stuff as we go along. Just almost as like the sisters learning everything as it's going along as well. We can just sit back and look at the fact that she has seen her brother. Her brother is to the point where he can't walk. He's to the point where he can't even get to the bathroom by himself. Now that's a hard thing. That's hard pill to swallow, especially considering he's a young man and he has to have assistance to get to the bathroom. He can't eat. He's throwing up all the time, and that's a lot. And I don't care who you are. You should be able to see this stuff. Being in a position of authority at that prison, so he should be in some sort of infirmary. And like they saying, all they really want is for him to be
That's what I'm wondering about.
To a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so
why is he in jail?
but is it a? I mean, did she ask her brother? Did he request not to be in the facility? I mean, a lot of this stuff we got to look at is. I just think I'm almost certain, y'all. I'm just saying I don't think nobody this low down from any state agency that's seeing a man with a hole in his chest, feet swelled up to the bare minimum, looking like footballs, that they're not trying to offer him some kind of medical assistance from an outside professional.
But when they say that there are other cases, this is not this is not like it's new to Alabama.
Hey,
I don't. When they say it's not new to Alabama, I just don't. I don't know.
we got guys that with us on the line.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh, yes. Getting back to your the geriatrics and being incapacitated,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he qualified for any of that.
He's definitely not geriatric. He's 32.
Right, because it says that the person has to be 55 years or older and who served suffers from a chronic life-threatening infirmity, life-threatening illness, or chronic debilitating disease relating to aging, and then who poses low risk to the community and who does not constitute a danger to self or society. And then incapacitated, and it's saying for the purpose of this regulation is a permanent, irreversible physical or mental condition that prevents the person from being able to commit a violent physical action upon another person or self, or having a mental capacity to plan, initiate, or participate in a criminal act. So the incapacitation, so if so when you say being incapacitated, so he gets well and then he goes back. That's what we're saying.
That's a good question.
Yeah, I think that once you release on that right there, then you don't go back. I think
you don't go back. And so he gets well, then what if he does what he did before?
Another crime.
Yeah.
But see, that's why like Daniel said, he should have diagnosis. He should have diagnosis, and at the minimum, be in an infirmary. Because usually on furlough, they're not. I don't want to say, but I think y'all know what it usually means when they're on furlough. Someone has to sign to take care of everything, and they'll be responsible financially. They'll be responsible for that person, and it's a lot. But if he's been documented that he can be okay with treatment, there's probably why no furlough has been tried. They haven't initiated it.
So
because looking at him, hopefully he can become better with treatment. He's not getting treatment. He doesn't even have. We don't even know what his diagnosis is. All of that stuff is going to boil down to medical diagnosis.
Doctors are probably saying that if he gets treated for what is wrong with him, and he would be all right, But as long as there's no treatment, he can, all the other things that builds up with that sickness would kill him. But once he gets well, then he's back into the system, back into the general population or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? And I think that would be fair, but give him the treatment. You know what I'm saying? Don't let him waste away.
That's what the lawyers want.
Okay. Exactly.
That's all they said they want. It's not about suits, any of that other stuff. Give him treatment, and with the grace of God, he will be okay, and wouldn't need one.
And
give him treatment first.
What the world wants now, by seeing these pictures and everything, they see that Alabama is not taking care of the inmates. They're doing this. Alabama has the worst prison population, the most. All of these things, awful things that happen within the prison system, and all this kind of stuff. The health care, all of that violence, and all of this. At least you can work on one thing. You can do something about the health care.
We have said it on multiple occasions. The southern states, and especially we're talking about Alabama and Mississippi, are always the lowest in the good things and the highest in the bad. This is another bad thing that we probably more than likely rank number one and number two between the two states.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that's the very statement that go ahead, Van.
Yeah, I mean, just being a former teacher, it puts me in the mind dealing with the Civil War with the Union and the rebels, basically with the POW camp, how they treated the Union soldiers in the prisons and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And making that the rebels, Confederates, this is Confederate state, how they're treating the state, all these inmates consider them as Union soldiers, or something like that, and how they're just degrading them, just killing them basically in there, just working them to death, just paying them pennies on the dollar, just working them like slaves.
And it's like Laura Beth made in the comments, well, that's what we've been saying since Tuesday. Why is he in general population?
Yeah.
Why is he in general population? And he's the only people changing him are the other prisoners who have the heart to do so, or he's having to do it himself.
Exactly.
And he's wearing a diaper as undergarment.
That's what we're saying. They're having to rely on him to do it, or he's having to do it himself.
And it seemed to me they have to have a hospice wing or whatever you want to call it, because they have these old people there or these people that are sick or whatever. So you got to have somebody in there working with them.
Why is it not in the infirmary? Why is he in general population?
Exactly. The
That's
infirmary.
what we asked on Tuesday. Laura Beth asked that.
So I don't understand that.
Well, I think Stanton prison is supposed to be the medical ward or the medical facility. Let me read up on it right quick, and I'll see where y'all talk about it.
Yeah, because I know that they said they transferred him there, but once again, it don't appear, based on what the sister was saying, that he's not getting any treatment still. It's still pretty much the same type of situation, and he's basically living in fitness. Which, if you got an open sore, that's the one thing you don't want, because you dealing with infection. So,
exactly.
Who's changing the dressing? He has an open, so is it even being dressed? Who's changing it? And with the one he has, it needs sterile technique. So if they send him to a hospital where that can happen, there's still something not right. That Dr. Rich is reporting that something is still not going right.
Okay, I got some info right here. So Stanton Correction Facility, which opened in 1978, is located on Highway 143, approximately 12 miles west of Wetumpka, Alabama. The institution was named after honor of Thomas F. Stanton, a previous chairman of the Board of Correction. Stanton provides emergency medical care in a medical observation unit for Elmore and Frank Lee facilities. Additionally, Stanton, through the Ingram State Technical College, offered educational, vocational courses such as adult basic education college classes, literacy programs, auto body and heavy equipment repair, upholstery, welding, horticulture, and barbering. Stanton also has a law library, staff psychologist for counseling, and substance abuse treatment program. Stanton is classified as a medium custody correctional facility. So yes, Stanton is the medical care facility for the.
Darryl, do you see what Miss Brown just said in the comments?
What she say? Sandy Brown.
Stand nurses, Sandy Brown said stand nurses are under investigation by the Board of Nurses for medical neglect. So that's what they sent them to. I mean, if that's the only facility available, then Daniel says that there's a Hamilton facility, but if that's what they're saying is available, she's just stated in the comments that they're under investigation by the Board of Nurses for neglect.
Let me see.
Mm-hmm. I was just thinking, why the nurses not working, doing anything during the day or whatever, helping him.
And my thing is, are they understaffed as well? Because sometimes it can be a neglect situation because you're understaffed. You can only handle so many nurses available, can only handle so many people. And then they're being put in jeopardy with their license, and it could be neglect, unintentional neglect. Could be intentional, I don't know. But then if you're understaffed, and I do know that prisons are hard to keep nurses. It's a dangerous place. Not a lot of people really go there to work.
I think Daniel need to call back in, because if I'm not mistaken, it's hard for them to keep anybody. First of all, a PO, not PO, what they call it, a CO, I think they have them go in and work and making like $10, $15 an hour. And who wants to go up in there when you walking and you having all kind of things happening to you on a daily basis? You are definitely understaffed. I think Daniel said one time that they'd be there one person working a whole entire block. So
Who's gonna work
and
continue to
that
work
might
and
be
build?
hundreds of folks.
You know, a lot of times it's the working conditions. You know that why people do a lot of things, and then you end up having guards who look into other prisoners for protection. You only one guard, so guess what? You're gonna probably start doing some things you maybe shouldn't do to be protected yourself, simply because it's understaffed. What can you truly do? And then who wants to take that risk? See, they're already in prison, so they decide to get a whim to cut up one day.
Well,
You know.
that was my part two, but we can't get out part one. We can't get out part one. You know, I was just thinking, it's just like any other position, like you're saying about the nurses, correction officers. There's a shortage of good workers. There's a shortage of knowledgeable workers that are fulfilling these positions that we have in law enforcement, um, nursing, doctoring, whatever field there is. I'm pretty sure even in teaching. I mean, I'm not trying to get on the subject. Here's a 31-year-old teacher having sex with a 16-year-old at a football game. So what kind of mentality are we having these days of people fulfilling the positions of teachers and police and correction officers, firemen, nurses, whatever position? I mean, what about the white female that fell in love with another prisoner? I mean, it's the mindset of what's going on with this time. So I'm still searching. I'm still researching. I just think I'm just praying to God that no one is just letting this man.
Just language in pain and
Yes, yes,
agony.
yes. I'm just praying no one is just allowing it to happen. Now, I used to work at Taylor Hardin uh, back in the 80s. I was probably one of the youngest young men that started working at Taylor Hardin at 18. I had just turned 18. And of course, that's the mental insane facilities. Um, people come there for pre-trial mental evaluations, and some are there. They're played mentally insane, criminally insane, and there again, there be situations where um, nurses, back then they used to call them forensic technicians, which was the same as a mental health worker two, nurses, we had LPNs and RNs. So if there was a situation where there was some kind of medical assistance needed for a client, it wouldn't be neglected. I just don't see an Alabama Department of Mental Health, I mean, even a correction facility neglecting a human being to this point. Now, even if someone said, well, he don't want it, we can't force him to take his medication, or we can't force him to allow us to treat him. Well, I think if it's to the point where he's causing harm to himself, that the state has to reach in at some point in time and say, okay, he's not eating, he's not doing this. We're gonna have to. I seen where we when I was at Taylor Hardin, put people in restraints to stop them from harming themselves, and basically that's what would be a same situation where this young man, if he's refusing medical assistance, where he's refusing to eat, that they would have to do something to restrain and feed him, if it's even through a tube or whatever. I mean, I
And,
just
and that's the part that it's the part that's the part that I'm kind of confused about because they're saying that he didn't want this stuff, but then he turned around and he asked for help.
But the conversation the sister said, he's in good spirit. Okay? I listened to that. She said he's in good spirit.
Well, all Darren just said, what does it boil down to? The medical doctor making a diagnosis. The medical doctor writing and putting in the computers the order. The medical staff, even if it's more than one doctor who has to make the call.
Right.
We got Daniel Van Horn on the line with us.
Go ahead, Daniel.
Good evening, everyone.
Hey, Daniel, how you doing?
All right. I got to say, last time I was on, I had a chance to work in the healthcare unit, and it's according to how the officer runs his particular shift. I'll say that. What I did when I got to Bibb County healthcare unit as an officer, it was in shambles. It was all kind of lawsuits. People weren't being seen. The nurses were being, 38, if anybody know what that means. But what I did, they gave me a young guy that I guess they figured he'd be a troublemaker and, I wouldn't work out up there. But growing up the way I did in Rosedale and with all the people around me, I learned how to organize things. So the first thing I did was I organized a list in order to show the time, what time they arrived, what time they left, what they were seen for. And before long, we got our healthcare unit to the point where there were no lawsuits. The nurses came to work happy. Nobody was disrespecting them by masturbating when they see the top of their head. That's what 38 means. But it took time. So as we organized that and started getting people to be seen, then we can go to the other part. People wasn't stealing syringes anymore. They can account for all that stuff. And, the doctor was like, okay, we want you up there all the time, which that's impossible. But when you say officers come from other institutions and they probably do something to, protect themselves because they're understaffed, inmates have a certain level of respect. Once you earn that respect, they're not going to disrespect you in no form or fashion because they feel like you have a respect for them. And that's with any individual. So as far as a lot of people go to these other institutions, they do the same thing at those institutions that they do at Texas. So you really just add to the problem if you don't really know the officer that you're sending to that other institution. That all goes back to character and everything else of the individual. Because when they're hired, you're hired to do a job and protect people that are incarcerated. But as people and time and money calls for things, some people will do what they do on the street as an officer in the prison, as well as have sexual relationships, promote prison contraband, or anything else. This strike that they have right now, somebody needs to get to the bottom of what actually started it. The hunger strike that they have going on. I think this is what, day 4? But it takes the public influence in order to help those that are incarcerated. I mean, it's all right to do your time, but it doesn't come with cruel and unusual punishment. As well as how some of those facilities are. You deal with mold, you deal with rats, you deal with all kinds of things that can cause you health problems as a person working inside that prison, regardless of where you work at, because of unclean conditions. So, as far as them building 6 more prisons, first you need to clean up the ones that you got. And it can be done, and you can pay people decent wages in order to stay in there so they won't promote prison contraband. And you can also build up morale by showing folks that you appreciate them and not just thinking they have to come there because they need a job.
Daniel, that was also part of part two, part two about the correctional officers hiring procedures and pay, because at some point in time, I mean, just like we just saying, like on the street, some drug dealers say, hell, if I can make $3,000 in 3 or 4 hours compared to going to McDonald's or Mercedes or wherever making 300 in an 8 hour shift, which one you gonna take? 300 in 8 hours, or you gonna take the 3,000 in 4 hours? A lot of times they're gonna make the wrong decision and take the 3,000 in 4 hours. So same thing. So just think of a 18, 19, 20-year-old, because they do hire 18, 19, 20-year-olds now as correctional officer ones, or I think it's 1, 2, or 3, whatever. And you take someone that's in prison, and you got a fragile 150-pound young man or woman dealing with men that been lifting weights for 10 years, who arms almost bigger than their head, and say, hey, bring me a phone. If you don't bring me a phone, I'm gonna bust you in your face when you get back the next day. And he don't bring the phone, he get punched for real, and his jaw broke, or his
You
head
know
hurt.
what? It doesn't even happen like that. They try to finesse you. First, they try to get to know you because they're some of the best psychiatrists.
Oh.
I mean, psychologists. But they finesse you, but they don't dare try to intimidate you. Because intimidate you can get rolled up for that and they'll never have a chance to touch you. But they learn to finesse the officers. And they sit there just like a psychologist and study you and know how to come to you. So, it ain't just that overpowering the way you would think. Because some of the biggest guys on those yards, they somebody's boy.
I got you. But but I mean, my point. I guess I want to make my point is that, as you say, finesse, mind blow, just like this the lady that who lost her life getting the prisoner out of jail. Just think, they are already at a low paying scale job mentality. There's no loyalty, dedication, hardly anymore to any jobs.
Is that the case though? Because with her, she was a mobile worker.
Huh?
When I worked at Bill for 5 years, we did not receive a pay raise for 5 whole years. That never changed the correctional officer that I was. So it's still going to be the individual. People make decisions. It ain't about being bullied or nothing like that to do so. Some folks find it as a quick way of making money. Okay, if I bring them a cell phone in, okay, they could give me $1,000. I'll tell you like this. While I was off work from Bill, I seen a sergeant come to a house across the street from my house, not knowing I stay there. And I was very curious. And so I sat back and watched for a while. So I noticed every few weeks. Now this is a sergeant. Now remember, they over the CO. That's your first line of communication, the sergeant. So I knew when I went back to work, if I ever had to work with that sergeant, he couldn't be trusted. Come to find out, after I was long gone from there, they caught him bringing in prison contraband. So if the individual, see that want to be cool, that want to be finesse, some people just, oh, well, I seen cool and such and such. No, because you endanger yourself and the folks that work with you. And most folks ain't don't think that much of it. And I had a chance to work with an 18, 19-year-old. They need to be at least 21 to work in a prison. That's too young. Because now not only you protecting yourself, you're protecting them because they don't have that taking ability. They need to let time to mature.
Hearing for somebody that know.
Yep. But just like Bill, we had you have 3 different kind of dorms that really mean something. You have the educational dorm, you have the faith-based dorm, you have the education dorm. Well, in Bill, they use, I can't say what they do now, but all of the ones they consider the worst of the worst, they put in a dorm called D dorm. All the people that was trying to get an education that was young was the D dorm. F dorm was the faith-based dorm. E dorm was the elderly dorm. Well, you got your most trouble out of B dorm because they put all the bad people in one place. But D dorm, when you had the young men that was over there to get their GED, once you have officers over there that's bringing them contraband, that's supposed to make sure they go to class, that created another problem. Well, faith-based dorm, they got some officers over there that was doing tattoos, doing people taxes. Well, it's these individuals that cause problems with other people because when the officers come over there, that's about their business. You know, they ain't trying to mistreat them, but they ain't trying to let them mistreat them, but just going about what needs to go on. Oh, you a lame. Or you this, you that. Some officers can take it like, well, hey, as long as I don't do that to affect you, I'm doing my job. But some officers be like, they'll get into it. But just imagine an inmate got access to all your personal information, filing your taxes. That's how much they will trust them. So it still goes back to the individuals that you work with. Even supervisors doing this type of stuff, which are the sergeants, the lieutenants, the captains. And you be like, you just a CO, but you like, okay, this dangerous for me. But it's a lot more goes on inside those prisons, and as far as when it comes to people's health, as long as the nursing staff has an officer that runs the infirmary unit as if they was being treated themselves, they ain't gonna have this problem. But working at Bill, you're gonna be a part of affidavits and lawsuits for this, that, and another. After we got the phone the other night, I looked back at an affidavit when I was a part of a lawsuit. And the inmate, he was so egregious to file this lawsuit. He put people on there that wasn't at work. He put people on there that had no contact with him. He lied about what physically happened to him. And now, while your name is on that paperwork, you got to write affidavits back to answer back to what he said, this, that, and another. But by him lying every step of the way, it just put folks on there that he didn't like. And nothing like that happened to him, period, anyway. But he was just upset and mad, so he filed a lawsuit. Being a correction officer, you still got to keep up with that paperwork, even when you don't work there. Because some can come back up. It don't matter if it was 20 years ago. You get called for something, you got to answer to it. But it's no way Mr. Gunn should have been in population. Not even when he came back. Even because the way it seems like to me is like it's an outpatient surgery. And he should have been an inpatient surgery. But somebody else made that call, not him. I will continue to say that. Somebody just let him go out to get the surgery and bring him back. But why did they bring him back to population is $1 million question. Because there's no way he can protect himself, do for himself, feed himself, or walk himself. So that makes him vulnerable. You don't want no vulnerable person in population.
Well, I mean,
Him like in an open bay like that.
okay, so
Right. Your question was, are people just letting this happen? The picture speaks 1,000 words.
That's why I say, where's the empathy? Where's the empathy? Because you can always make calls as far as, okay, maybe we need to get the court system involved. Let's check his mental health. If he did say he wants to go back, you saw the conditions. Somebody somewhere, why is he in general population like that?
That's why God would answer them no matter what his contact, because he would have told them, and the family member would have asked the question, why is he in general population?
He should not have been.
Right. And then why was she taken off the list? So that's what I'm trying to say. I don't know what the people of the state do. Why was she taken off of the visitation list?
That was done in retaliation because she became that voice that he couldn't be. That was something retaliatory.
Right. That's what I say. You never know what people will do. Like
But
you
talking about the state of Alabama,
certain
talking about the state of Mississippi, all these prison systems in the state of Alabama, and generally when you have something going on like that, in my opinion, is always the head. So it might not just begin right directly at that particular prison.
In order for them to even feel comfortable doing it.
That's been going on. It's just like the old saying: don't ask, don't tell, don't show. Some people will speak out, some people won't. But just like the other night, what I was saying, when you do find an officer that or a staff member that tries to get help for those people, and they find out who did it, that person don't have no job no more.
That's
Now
right.
you would think they would reward that person because okay, they caught what they missed, but that ain't how that works. You are following
somebody on the
we
Dr.
tried to
Bishop
sneak
saying
up
protect
that
the
bush,
home.
and you kept it in the light.
That's why I said whoever that pictures of her.
Me, he said a dead man can't talk. And that was enough for me to get with it. Dead, you can't talk. But don't nobody want that kind of body this torn. So it don't be just the inmates that you threatened by, or might feel threatened by. It's the very people work beside you. So this is a more than just a me problem. This is a across the board, all institution problem.
And sometimes inmates are afraid.
And been there a long time, you can come in new trying to do the right thing from the academy, but if they already got a system and a culture in place, you become an outcast real fast. And they will all cheat and steal to try to get you out of the way. Because they don't want you to know what's going on because they feel you might, what's their favorite word, snitch. But that ain't snitching to me because you're trying to eliminate another problem. But most folks call it snitching, but if you're dealing with your life and other people's life, and that's the whole purpose of you to protect lives in a prison, that old culture got to go.
You know, it's a bad culture when, because we did another story about prison, like what about 4 or 5 months ago, right there, when they showed the inmates that were showing out the living conditions inside of the prison, another Alabama prison, um, with the toilets not working and none of the stuff is being cleaned up and everything like that. None of the stuff is ever coming from any COs, anybody from inside the prison. It's always seems to be coming from the prisoners themselves, and it's based on their contraband that they have in there because none of them supposed to have cell phone. But it's like they risking getting in big trouble trying to expose some things.
But the thing is, most of them that see this stuff is probably caught up with some, like, brain in prison contraband. So they trying to get as much money as they can. They ain't gonna say nothing. Because then they're going to stop their money once an investigation starts. But these cell phones in the prison, I've even seen ammunition to a gun in the prison. I'm like, okay, that gun is here somewhere.
Now that would have been a day to walk out right there.
Ammunition. It's a gun somewhere. You ain't got no bullet for no reason. But I can remember when we did shakedown. I was the smallest officer, so I had to go up in the roof. And some of the knives I found would go straight through me. They would take the lightning rods off the side of the building and take a plastic ball and melt it on it to make them a handle and tie rags to make sure it don't go nowhere when they do what they got to do. But this stuff is what they call it there, bone crushers. And trust me, it will crush bone. But when I found that ammunition, it's time to go. I was on what we going for nothing. Because if it ever get to the point where they in an uproar, that gun coming out. But the thing is, they're so slick. They will go out there on the yard and dig just a little hole to hide from somewhere you ain't gonna look for it. Because when they go on the yard, you don't pat them down. That's one worst thing you can do is not pat them down going on the yard and not pat them down coming off the yard. Because we had an inmate one time, he had to took him some weight from the yard. Soon as him and the guy got into it, their weight was used as a weapon. Okay, they have locks. Okay, when they ain't got nothing else, they use what they call lock and assault. But it all goes back to every day we're supposed to do a takedown. Somebody different. Some folks just write it down and go on home. Do you know how much contraband you probably miss by people not doing their job? You know how much danger that made your job? So it's more to the problem inside the prison than meets the eye.
Daniel, what you say when they found the ammunition you was time to go?
Man, I'm not a G.O. I'm done.
But yeah, but it's not funny. But what I'm saying is, see how what it took for Daniel. Daniel was trying to make a difference. Imagine people who've never worked with violent people. That's okay. Well, I'm gonna try the prison system because you got a lot of. Sometimes you have elderly nurses who may go back and work where they don't care how old you are. If they want to try to attack you physically, sexually, they're going to try to attack you. You got young people, and so think about it. Some of those people go in there and they see something they want or two, they out of there. And so Daniel tried, but when Daniel saw the ammunition, it wasn't even a fight. But Daniel said it was something pop off, this ammunition popping off, so he had the G.O.
I'm just showing. I'm just showing some of the pictures that I just got off the internet. Just of some of the dorms and even the women prison. I mean, we're not even talking about the women prison right now, but
Oh, wow.
yeah,
How they end up like this? All the people that work there know.
I can't pull up the picture of the informer for some reason. It won't let me get the one. Kilby informer.
Open base.
Yeah.
They don't even know crazy. No, that ain't right.
So they don't have too many cells.
No,
I'll
they have what you call an open base. It's up to 100 beds, 50 on one side, 50 on the other side, and they stack.
Well, there you see some of the comments.
One shower, I'm describing the prison I worked in. But it's an open bay area. It ain't got nothing to do with no cells. That makes it even more dangerous because sometimes you only have one officer on the floor, which is called a rover. You have one officer in the queue. But if you got an officer in the queue that like to sleep at night, you in trouble. So you got to do your part. But it was plenty of times we were understaffed, but it's still, you build a rapport as an officer. They're going to look at your uniform, how you carry yourself. I mean, like I said, they are like psychologists. They study. They know who to go with. And
There's
they
a good
got
conversation going on in the chat too, y'all. Lord Beth School, who else? McIntyre, Kiona, Kyle Ford, they got some good stuff going on in this shit. Lord Beth said we are warehousing humans.
Who said that?
It's worse than animal shelters.
No, look at that.
that's all it is warehouse.
Oh my gosh.
There's an open bay area. Now, what you have, the supply closet, and the other thing where they supposed to store stuff, but they break in those.
Wow, Lord Beth says yes, the COs do not make enough and are not properly trained.
Where you store your stuff at?
They make way more off selling contraband. Wow.
Yep. That's why it's so much. Yeah. If you know anybody who's incarcerated right now, and I guarantee you, majority of the time they got a cell phone.
Yeah, that's how you got those pictures out.
Well, I mean, you just got to think about it. You got to have a cell phone to capture that picture right there of Vaughn. Because he better.
Prize is, even on the interstate, you have what you call a dead zone for your cell phone. Why don't they have dead zones around those prisons?
Daniel, I was at the medical facility the other day in Birmingham, and my phone would not pick up.
No.
But then they got better reception than we do outside.
Right?
But maybe because the buildings are old, so those buildings are real old, and so they don't have those jammers like in those newer buildings where they can have those jammers.
But you can put the jammers on.
But you have to install that in there.
But I can remember being in the old
all in
building.
there.
I remember being in the old building, and my phone just went to go because the walls were concrete and brick. The walls were concrete.
Let me see.
But some of these old prisons, I don't know what they made out of. But they sure get them some reception up there. But you know what? I don't know because they do have educational services, so maybe it's just enough. I don't know.
And they have to bring those lines in to do that for those bringing those computers and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So they have to bring those
so they got
lines
some
in,
Wi-Fi
and
access.
so
It's
that
just like
way
when you
they can link up.
yeah, you riding down the road, you can pick up some service sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, inside the prison, they used to have some little headphone sets, right? Where they could pick up a radio signal. Some of those guys inside the prison were very, very fluent in electronics. They knew how to boost the signal in that radio to pick up stations that they wanted. So when you have people with a mindset in electronics, they can take your simplest cell phone and make it boost to go to like a different server. I forgot about that part. Hold on, now you got some smart people in there that are electronic now. They can build things to reach a fuller reception, even if you did put those blockers. So
they had a whole Facebook page about what they could build up in there.
Sure do.
They got a whole Facebook page about the stuff they build up in there.
The walls of the prison supposed to be so thick that you ain't supposed to be able to talk. Cause they got rebar in there, concrete. That stuff is more than an inch or a foot thick. So you know, what I'm saying, them ain't no little small walls. Cause you ain't supposed to be able to just like bust through them. All that right there is supposed to kill the traditional radio signal. So
It's
like
easy to access these computers. There are plenty of computers, not just in the educational part, the guards or the administration. There is, even if it's not in the particular building, it's enough around there because somebody's getting service. It's enough around there. I've known buildings as nursing facilities. So it's some buildings out there on the UA. If you go down certain buildings, the older ones, you ain't gonna have no phone service. That's why I used to tell my girls when you get a 10 ward, do not go. If you're in 10 ward, do not go to certain restrooms because you will not have cell service in there.
But they do know how to boost.
And they got a lot of stuff out there. So I'm thinking it's just the same thing. Like Daniel said, you know, it's I feel it's enough computers out there for whatever purposes that the things, and then those guys are young and smart. So just like you did away around the things that you did back in the day, you get around things today. These guys are, especially these young people, they smart.
It is, y'all, some folks like to say dumb criminals. I don't concur with that. Them some smart people. They take the less of the less and make it better than out here in the world. Mm-hmm.
They have nothing but time on their hands.
Yeah, and like I said, some of them come in with these skills. Like say in high school you took up a trade, but you end up in prison. But then you can end up using that trade in prison to help you make money about boosting people radios, doing tattoos. They can take the simplest thing. They can take the ink out of the ink pen, put it in a little packet, and make tattoo guns. Well, in order to run a tattoo gun, you need a plug. No, they went around it. They get a whole pack of batteries, jump them all together, and do that too. They are smart. They get around everything they're not supposed to have. And then you just have folks that put stuff in their hands, like those cell phones I said. Somebody in there know how to go in there and boost the signal in those phones and find whatever power they want to find.
I'm looking up.
So even if you put blockers up, it wouldn't stop them because they're going to figure out a way around it. The further they can get a signal, they'll get a signal.
It's a lot of topics going on in the comments too. There, I know you said it's like you want to talk about. I guess be a part 3 or talk about, or you want to talk about more today. Like Sandy Brown is talking about, just the neglect, medical neglect, the broken bathroom, filthy showers, and things like that. And Laura Bev is saying no air at all. They are in a tin can in Austin, Alabama.
I'm trying to find the TikTok she's talking about.
All related to the prison system.
Let me see. Is this it? I'm on her page.
That picture was so sad.
All right, so I'm at the funeral home, as you see, and I'm about to go in and identify my son's body. So to you addicts out there, this is what you're going to do to your parents.
I'll live.
People buy stock in prison. And as long as you got that commissary running, people are becoming millionaires from having stock in prison, and they sell a commissary in there.
Mm-hmm. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Like I tell you, first of all, how do you use money that was set aside for COVID relief to you decide, well, you know what, I'm gonna build some. First it was I'm gonna build a new Capitol building. When everybody said, no, you ain't gonna do that. Okay, well, I just built some these prisons that I've been talking about since I've been in office. But the moment you start building those prisons, you're gonna be locking folks up for everything. Absolutely. Because you gotta feel them. Because contrary to what people might believe, they ain't no start. Okay, well, we're gonna get this population at such and such prison down. They ain't gonna do that. They gonna give them a whole new. They gonna put a few old heads in there because that's who's gonna help build it. Because the prisoners build it. Don't get it twisted. They know every brick, every layout of those prisons because the prisoners help them build the prison. Interesting, isn't it? I know. So if she says she's gonna put all these millions, you ain't paying for prison labor.
She might lose her.
This is what happens when you refuse to work in Alabama prison.
No. Her back is gonna get paid. As soon as that commissary open, do you know how much stuff is on that commissary? Stuff that costs us $1 costs them $7. No. It's ridiculous. On the street costs what? $6 now? When they can't smoke in the prison no more, I'm gonna just use this as an example when I worked there. For a carton of cigarettes, a person would pay over $100 for a carton. That's 12 packs of cigarettes. But they can turn around and sell them for more to other inmates for other stuff. But think about the people that got stopped in the prison when they get that $100 carton of cigarettes. Because most folks, they try to get a pack or two, make them last, because they like $10, $12 a piece in the prison when they could smoke.
Let me play this
monopoly going on that the outside world would never know.
Let me play this little TikTok right quick to see what Miss Brown was talking about. I think this might be it. I'm not sure. It's quick, so I'm gonna play it right quick.
A carton.
This is what happens when you refuse to work in Alabama prison.
I don't know if that was the one or not. I couldn't really make that one out.
Somebody being abused? What is going on?
Well, I thought everything was just fine. Everybody is taking a hiatus, and there's no uprising, no kind of fights or anything.
Well, they say that visitation.
I have no idea about the fights in prison and everything like that, but it can't be that everything's all right in the prison when they try to sneak around and try to get some sort of help done in there. I think prisoners trying to get some sort of help done in there.
Lord Beth says they are currently segregating and beating those involved in striking.
They're trying to be fed. That's what they're trying to do. They've gone to two lunches. They have breakfast and dinner, no lunch or whatever. They're going on holiday meals. That's what they're doing. And they're eating bologna or peanut butter and jelly.
Go to the video there.
I think they're trying to starve them.
She said 11th video. Let's see. I don't know.
That's what they're doing.
So it ain't the traditional 3 cots in a cot no more, huh?
No, just 2 meals. 2 meals: bologna, peanut butter, little fruit. That's it. All because they went on strike. And they have every reason to go on strike. They're making what? Pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, and that's another way people making money off of the president label too, because it's just like a sweatshop did. And I'm saying like what Nike go to Indonesia and pay those people less than $1 a shoe, and then come over here and sell them for $150, $200 for a pair of shoes. You know what I'm saying? That's what they doing. Sweatshop.
So I read an article where it says in Alabama this man, he said he worked in the commissary, which they're not doing any commissary whatsoever. So they're not getting any kind of extra food or anything. He said he worked an 8-hour shift and he made $3.
Jesus.
He made $3. Worked an 8-hour shift and he made $3.
Well, commissary isn't every day anyway, though. They used to have to put in their orders for commissary. But if they're on strike and they're not going to come into contact with the inmates, they can't get their commissary anyway.
Right, the commissary on certain times, but you got all that extra money in that on that whatever you call that
on the book.
On the book.
Yeah. Wow. So this is day 4 they're on the strike, right?
Yeah, this is the 5th day? Day 4, tomorrow is the 5th day, yeah.
Okay.
It sure is. And they said they are trying, they believe they're trying to starve them. And they're just trying to survive.
So the commissioner of prisons decided to go to 2 lunches instead of 3?
Yep.
Yeah, I read that.
The holiday meal. They said it was because of the strike. I guess the logistics of it. But another inmate overheard a captain say, well, if they don't want to work, starve their asses.
I've heard that said before.
Sandra Brown says all of her videos, minus the first few, her niece did. She said they're from or about Alabama prisons. Laura Beth says one of the wardens laughed at them and told them that she was protesting by not feeding them.
That's it.
So you're a person in charge. You're a person of authority, and you being as spiteful as that when it comes down to in the prison system.
That's because they don't treat them as humans. They're not human beings.
Professional. And that's what I'm saying.
But now this is my major point. If there had been a kennel, a shelter for animals, do you know how many people would be outside that place right now having a fit? You have Peter out there and everybody else. I'm talking worldwide. They'd be over there because ain't no way in the world they're gonna allow you to treat a dog and or a cat like that.
You better not slap your dog. You going to jail.
They already in jail, so what did let them just stay in there and rock?
Okay, what about accountability to them running their facility? I mean, because if people say, okay, you got people that need medication in these places. Are they getting their medication?
No.
Jesus.
No, they're not getting their medication. No.
Yeah.
You can just only imagine if they doing that to him. They're not getting what they need. The high blood pressure, heart medication. So many people have all those problems. Diabetes and insulin.
with that, you got diabetes and you're not getting your insulin and your sugars are not under control, that opens up a whole bunch of different medical conditions such as kidney disease, heart disease. You run the risk of amputations. All of this stuff right here is a result of diabetes. I was like, hey, you talking to somebody.
Yeah. Now, what's your name is, bro? Because I'm looking at the situation right now. I
And
ain't
you
feeling that.
contributing to that by not giving them the
Got a
medicine that they
colostomy
need.
bag on.
And then if they die, there's no autopsy, so what's the difference? So it doesn't matter.
Well, there's always a paper trail if they do take medication. It's a list of everybody's name and what they take in their healthcare unit and what they have to keep in stock.
Yeah.
So
Now,
when
what's your
those
name
people
is,
start
bro?
dropping off, as
I'm
long
looking
as
at the
their
situation right now.
relatives know which avenues to go, just like I was saying earlier, with Miss Bunn's situation for her brother Mr. Bunn, this is a teachable moment, not only for her, but for people that might have to go through this with their people that's a part of this strike. If something happens, the inevitable happens to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's really not that hard to feed 3 meals. Because trust me, their meals are not 5-star by no standard. No, they're not hard to feed. And they go through chow hall like it's nothing.
And if I ain't mistaken, it's prisoners they're fixing their food, right? And so they ain't even paying nobody to fix it.
Yeah, you have prisoner staff in there in order to prepare the food and fix it, but you have what you call a kitchen staff that oversees it, where decides the menu, and you have one officer up there. And the stuff, a majority of the stuff is in cans, so how hard can it be to do 3 meals a day?
Individual dead at St. Clair Congressional Correctional Facility.
Oh, Lord. Well, again, Alabama prisons. There's some things that need to really and truly be overhauled in the prison system. It needs, and especially Alabama as a whole needs to have a recall done in so many different things. So many different things.
I'll tell you like this: Bill was built for about 900 inmates. The max I ever seen was 2,300 plus.
Well, okay, so
You might have 20 officers there that day.
let me interject this idea or this concept. Okay, so because it's two sides of what everybody is saying on one thing. Okay, so we're saying these prisons are overcrowded. We're saying that the buildings are old and mold and rats and all kind of infestation is in there. Correct?
Mm-hmm. That is correct.
Okay. So
rats big as heck.
If a school was in that same position, we'll be saying build a new school. Correct?
Absolutely.
So I'm just saying maybe we need to consider the idea of building a new prison because let's just say this: they're not.
Now you keep those open.
Hold on, they're not fixing to release 25,000 people back into society. So if there's Bill busting out the scene with 2,500 people and it's only built for 900, I think it's only logical that we build another facility to give people the comfortability, the unhumane conditions that we're talking about, and at least we can see people living in decency. Okay, if you subtract it down from 2,500 to 9, that means 600 people need to come from Bill to another facility. Now, hold on. Please, wait. Let me finish the conversation. Yes, I agree. Prison is not the answer to all the problems that society have. People still rob and kill because of drugs, but they must be punished. Correct?
Yes.
So
everybody ain't punished the same though.
So what now?
I say everybody's not punished the same. They're just like if a high elite person daughter go out there and kill certain people in a car accident, she don't serve no prison time.
Well, I'm not gonna be the judge of that particular situation because I do that. I do know personally that there's disparity when it comes to court situations and who serve and who don't. I agree with that 100%. But I'm just saying, other scenario, other situations at hand right now. If Stanton has rats and cats and dogs and monkeys running around in it and the inmates being treated like animals, then we need a better venue or facility that will give them better standards. That's all I'm saying on that. Now, that's all I'm saying on that.
Standards, also the people that run it have to be part of the standard. And if you gonna put the same people in place, it's gonna change.
Get the same result. Contraband.
Okay. And there's several situations of officers being arrested, but there again, I'm just thinking now. I'm just thinking. I already know it's hard to fill a position for any job. I don't care if you're paying $60 an hour. It's just hard to get people to work now. Period. So eventually, you, I, Mike, everybody that's on this thing gonna have to start thinking, will I be put in the position that I have to protect my family for somebody that won't go work, invading my home, taking my property that I go work hard for and earn to the point that I might have to do something.
Well, that'll fall up under stand your ground law. You can fix it.
No problem
Well,
with that.
I have a question. So this new prison, is it gonna have one of these X-ray machines where, like, when you go through the airport, they can just see everything, your little whole body cavity and all this kind of stuff?
It probably need that. It probably do need that. I agree with you. It needs that. It needs that.
Then then you can see if any drugs are going in. That means like the correctional facility guards need to go through it. Everybody needs to go through it when they're going in.
You can still get around it because if a person can get on the perimeter of the prison, they can throw it over the gate.
I was just
on inmates to pick it up. It's still ways around getting contraband in without an X-ray machine. It's multiple ways they get it in.
That's
even if it's the officer throwing something over the gate or different things. But my thing is this. They trust me, they throw it over. And when you got officers that like to sleep in the RP unit, anybody in the world can drive around that perimeter. It is what it is. I seen it with my own eyes. But I think non-violent offenders and people that's out on probation shouldn't go back to prison, to me. Because, okay, say for instance, if Joe Blow go to a roadblock and he's out on parole from prison, the moment he comes into contact with law enforcement, he's sent back to prison. Now, what crime did he commit being on parole? Coming in contact with an officer. See, a lot of times people don't know, some people get sent back into the system because while they're on parole, they cannot come back into contact with law enforcement. That needs to be reformed.
They can come in contact with law enforcement, but they
cannot come in contact with law enforcement.
What you mean they can't come back in contact with them?
I don't understand
that. So they get a traffic ticket, that's considered contact?
That's their rule. If you're on parole, you cannot come into contact with law enforcement in no form or fashion. And if you don't believe me, when I get a chance, I can post it up here and show you where it says that. And when people come into contact with law enforcement, whether it's a roadblock, license check, or somebody flipping, and the police come out, they ask everybody's name, they go one back to prison. That needs to be eliminated.
What? A roadblock, everybody who comes through that road, he could be on his way to work.
Now I think it's a little bit more.
That's their rules. When you're on parole.
What'd you say there?
I think it's a little bit more in depth than that. Now,
you go
okay, because I was about to say he's supposed to be going to work now. Wait a minute.
I mean, what he's saying is,
to me, come and contact me. Them called on you. You doing something illegal, something like that. Because you're gonna come in contact. You drive down the road, you come in contact with an officer.
What happens is
all calls you going back to prison.
What happens is, or what I've seen happen, once, okay, say for example, you do get pulled over and you're in the car, or he was driving, he committed a traffic violation, and the officer runs his name, and it come back as a parolee of the Alabama Department of Correction, and they're gonna ask, what's your reasoning for running this particular subject, and you can say traffic citation, being arrested for whatever, blah blah blah, and then the probation parole personnel is notified, and at that point it's determined, was it just a
okay. So somebody with a decent grain of sense gonna say, okay, it's a road stop. Everybody going through that road had to come through there.
It's investigated to
yeah,
a point.
It's more than just you can't contact them. You going to jail.
Yeah, it's
I was sure
going back to jail. Okay. Because I was about to say, who can? I mean, it's just like you got to know they let you out. You got to know a maze to avoid police. Police are just going down the road and they be telling you the road being worked on, and then down the road they might want to do license check. I mean, and you've done nothing. That's what contact to me means. But what you're saying there is, it has to be, they got to contact somebody first. They're like, oh, they need to go back. Basically, the officer has to say something was violated or something.
That's my understanding now.
That's what I always thought.
But what did most officers do when those folks came back to prison? I mean, we had a guy that got out on a Friday. By the time we got back to work on that Monday, because it was our weekend off, he was back in there from being at a roadblock.
Okay.
As I started
what's the details of it?
Mm-hmm. Now, I mean, he was a passenger in the car.
What did the person in the car? Because a lot of times you ain't supposed to be around certain people when you're on probation.
That's true.
What was the details of it? He was a passenger. What was going on with the driver? Or what was going on with another passenger? You not supposed to hang around certain people. I always heard it could be the way Darren said it, because you could be just on your way from work and go through a roadblock.
It's at the officer's discretion. So Darren was right on that.
But I'm talking about it's the probation officers though, not just the officer. It's going to be some discussion. That's my thing. As long as there's some discussion about what went on.
But think about how Darren said that.
Yeah, I mean, but why wouldn't it be that way for everybody?
Officer not too though. Think about what he said.
I mean, I heard exactly what he said.
If those people ran across officers that, man, you an inmate, I'm saying you back to prison. You won't never know how that officer reacted to the person when they went straight back. But the way Darren explained it is exactly right. But you got to remember, it's that officer that checked that ID at that traffic stop. That's right.
I mean, I'm not throwing. I mean, I can see something happening, something going on. This person has done something. I've always heard the way he said it. Now, unless that person has done something, then they got some issues. That person hadn't done nothing, just regular general run, whatever the officer said. It's up to the officer, but the officer can't just lie on you. And if he does lie on you, then we don't have those situations. But the way when you said that, we taking it like, I mean, if I'm not mistaken, Valerie, what you taking it like? Oh, you didn't stop, you yield. Okay, you get a traffic violation, you go right back. And that could be the case, but I understand that I always have been told to me and explained to me by other officers and a couple of probation officers that I know that that's how that happens. They run it, they call them, and it's, oh, okay, that person particularly is there's nothing being done wrong, they good.
Yeah, only something illegal happens.
Right.
But let's go back to what I was just saying about a new facility. And this the pros and cons of a new facility, I guess I'm saying. We all are saying that the buildings that now are infested, they are molded, they're not suitable for animals to live in. But we have human beings in it. So wouldn't it be feasible to say let's build a new facility compared to, oh, but they're gonna fill it up with more African American men and women due to the fact that, well, let's just think about it. The jails all over the state of Alabama is overcrowded with people that's supposed to be in prison right now. But
yes, we do need one, but the money that is being used to build it is not earmarked for that. That's the thing.
I agree with you 100%. That money was earmarked for.
I'm on that same level as the earmarking of money. Also, I'm on the part that the reason why majority of our prisons are so bad right now is the people that are in charge. And if you get another prison and you shut down the old prison and put the same people who was running the old prison into the new prison, what is actually going to change?
Well, something gonna change, but I'm gonna just say this. Um, when we say we want rehabilitation of inmates, or when we say we want drug treatment for people that's on drugs, can the people that run these facilities make them say, "Oh, I ain't gonna do crack no more," or "I ain't gonna do meth no more," or "I'm not gonna go outside these walls and do another crime again"? Can we actually can that actually happen? No, because if you read a lot of the times, and we heard our mayor say this, and I heard him say it, and then at first I was like, that ain't quite absolutely true. But then again, after I see it on my own, if you ever go to the jail app, the county jail app, you will see certain people on there. This time, next month, a new charge for this. And you keep asking the question, why are these people out on bond? Remember, we've said this on multiple occasions. Well, why is this person out on bond? Okay, he stole a car the first time. He's in jail. He got a right to make bond. Second time, he robs a old lady. Goes to jail, get out. Third time, he's killed somebody. And we constantly saying, well, why was he out for robbing? We do have to look at the fact that we do have to have something in place. We do have to have something in place where people can be punished for their crimes. And we do have to have a decent place for these people to serve their time. So the money was earmarked for what the American Care Act. I agree. It's being misused. That money's supposed to be raises for the guards, raises for the teachers, raises for all the state employees. If they didn't use it correctly, I agree. But they don't have the money because they refuse to deal with the federal government because it's a Democratic president. We don't want Medicaid. We don't want Medicaid because Democratic ideas. They're not. And I agree. Our governor,
are essential workers.
our governor is not thinking sensibly of the fact that Medicare could be expanded better and people could be served much better medically in Alabama if she would accept the money from the federal government. What's wrong with it? I don't know. But this two-party thing of Republican and Democrat, oh, I don't care, I don't want them to have this. We got to do what we got to do as people and get our cousin them to come out and vote, to get those type people out, that mindset out of office. But at the same time, we sit back and we continue to say they're gonna do what they want to do anyway.
Empowering the wrong people.
But I'm just saying, logically, we need to get these people out of these unhumane conditions. Where they getting the money from? I think I read something about they used the CARES Act money and still $200 million short. So where they gonna get the money for the $200 million? I don't know. We won't do it.
I mean, that's where the backers come in at for the people that supposed to two different companies or corporations supposed to come in and do the backing of it, which they already secured that supposedly.
Well, we need something done urgently. I think we all agreeing. Just seeing some of the pictures and the way people are being treated medically, physically, even right here in our own county jail, contraband gets in, from what I understand. So,
it gets in. Quite sure it gets in all the time.
so I'm certain that we got to come up with something, because if something happened with a person or a family, a member of yours, and they victims of crime, we don't want to see them. A lot of times, people don't want to see them walking down the street like ain't nothing never gonna happen, unless it's getting to that point where we just saying it's the norm again. Now, are we at this point where we're saying committing a crime is the norm? And judge, he broke into my house, but y'all didn't do nothing about it. So it's okay. The next time he breaks in another person's house. It's just like
they arrested, that's hypothetically, they arrested a person.
Mm-hmm.
The person gets a bail, whatever, a bond.
Mm-hmm.
And if the person can afford the bond, they get out until their trial.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to have a speedy trial, but the way things are going, this is really not a speedy trial. We're waiting for to get on the docket.
Mm-hmm.
So, but if they have money to post bond,
they're entitled to it.
We can't.
We agree. They are entitled to that. I guess
they're entitled to it.
I think that, I guess my point would be the ultimate outcome. And when is it going to be a plea bargain that say, okay, we're going to put you in the county jail, and I'm just going to use a small crime, a petty crime, as we say, for an example. Somebody that used somebody's credit card and ran up the bill or messed up their credit. Okay, some people might not see that as a petty crime, but okay, it's not a crime against a person. Well, no, it's not a.
It's a non-violent crime.
Non-violent crime. That's the words I want to use. So, okay.
Wait a minute, y'all. Wait. Darryl, you talking about folks won't work. Y'all see these 5 people that stole these Cadillac converters from Mercedes? 3 guys took them up to Abernath and sold them. And went and put on camera stealing barrel full of Cadillac converters from Mercedes. Happened in 2021. They just been charged. Mm-hmm. 3 young black males, and they sold them to 2 white men up there in Abernath. All 5 of them got profiles right here on TV. Darryl, you said don't nobody want to work. They want the quick money, so they're just trying to get the quick Cadillac converter money.
and see what I'm saying? Like, okay, so they see that as a non-violent crime. They just get charged. And this happened in when? 2021 or 20?
Mm-hmm. That happened in 2020. It happened in 2021.
Okay, so that's a non-violent crime. But if you was a victim of one of those Cadillac converters being cut off your vehicle, you want something done because it costing you money to get that fixed.
But look at this. But check this out. They was brand new. Mercedes wants
Oh, they
something
got.
done. Get what they talked to Mercedes. Mercedes said they're working with authorities, no further comment. Mercedes about that business. Mercedes want them to they still a little.
They want to
Now they
charge.
gonna get them done because Mercedes, big corporation.
Yeah, they didn't even get a chance to get put on the vehicles.
Oh, okay, I see what you said. So these are, so they stole these from the company itself.
Yes. Employees, and they took them up there and sold them to, and I probably know what they talking about up there in Avonette.
Yeah, just junkyard and got plenty good money.
Yeah.
But see, there again, nonviolent crime. But we all know they should be punished. Now, how long
I don't
they
know
should
which
be?
three gonna get punished and which two ain't.
I'm
We
saying
ain't gonna hear nothing about the other two no more.
all I know is all full. I don't care if it's their first.
The other three.
We all agree we don't care if it's their first time getting in trouble or their second time getting in trouble. They all got in trouble on this particular crime together, correct?
Yeah.
So
You leave them in jail or prison though.
according to the
See,
courts,
seriously now, okay, they do 5 years, they get out, they do the same thing.
What do according to what there?
like I said, what do we
No,
want?
Daryl, according to what? According to what you was gonna say?
do we want them out or do we want them in prison?
Because you that barrel full from Mercedes. I don't know if it was the first, second, or third time they get in trouble, but I don't know if this gonna be I don't know what kind of this gonna be this thing here.
But still, how much time can
You going to prison? They're not gonna be going to jail for that. They gonna get probation if that's their first time.
But we don't know any of that. And you just stole Mercedes, and not just one or two. You just stole a barrel full, and you on camera.
Yeah, they going to prison.
Leaving in your company truck that was working for and was working for an agency.
Oh, so they done dropped a big felony.
Somebody still gonna be a couple of folks filing the charges against them. You using the company truck to steal?
Well,
These stuff from Mercedes.
but see, it's the value. It's the value of the converter. It's not the fact that they're using another company's truck because they have permission to use the truck.
It's the value of the converter, but it's the fact that they're using another company truck to their company. When you do something like that, that's gonna happen. It's automatically dismissal. No tolerance.
They messed
so
up the
automatically,
contract.
and then they can file charges themselves.
Look, they messed up the contract for them. Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yes.
So they losing money behind it. Correct.
Exactly.
That contract can get cut off.
I think that'd be more of a civil claim for that other company, but the fact that
they're gonna find something. They can find somewhere. They use their vehicle to commit theft. To commit a crime.
At least they got all their information.
There again. They're
gonna catch up with them.
You know they got all their information. They get a paycheck.
There again.
They should have known Mercedes got cameras everywhere, probably self in the bathroom stall.
Bunk beds.
I wouldn't put it past them not to have that. Just to be honest with you.
Okay. Before
that's why I ain't say it because they can't push it. They don't want no suits.
Wait. So let me bring this point up right quick though. Let me bring this point up about that particular whole case scenario. Remember we talked about those particular crimes probably gonna be related to drug crisis, correct? More than likely.
Okay.
So we all say, okay, these people have a drug problem. They stole the converters. They need to be punished. I see somebody say ankle monitors. You still walking around with ankle monitors. You still can go commit the crime.
Still doing crime.
We have to have something in place, y'all. I'm sorry, there's no. Okay, we want them to have a humane condition environment. I'm for you with that. But I'm still for the fact that if you commit a crime, you got to do some time. Now, I know that ain't fair for everybody. And I know it seems to be the fact that that justice is against the poor people. But at the same time, we do have to have, because the crimes that are being that are taking place are against, sometimes it's against poor people, sometimes it's against rich people. It's happening. And I just think we have to have something in place, y'all. And I don't care how many people going to agree with this.
I don't think nobody's going against that. Private people decide we agree, but how much time can you give somebody for another offense? Is my question.
Okay, let's take a census. How many people think these people should get 2 years?
10 years.
Two.
No, two. I thought you said two.
That's it, yeah. I'm saying like
you start at a minimum of 5. No 3 year sentences here.
No, well, what I'm saying, okay.
Okay, they
But
already.
I understand thinking you just saying like there's a consensus of the group on the phone.
Yeah, I'm just talking about
it
on the
may
phone.
be a minimum 3, 5, 4, 5 in the courts, but you're saying like as far as us on the phone, where we feel that nonviolent crime, crime against a major international company.
I'm gonna give you a scenario of what they would say. Okay, they'll say 5 years, but they want 2 years. They're gonna say 5 years with a split 2. That means you got to go do 2 years in prison. Another 3 years you're gonna do on probation. How many would agree with that? Who would agree with that?
So you have to do 85% of the sentence?
Not me. I don't agree with
that. He said a split. You said a split right there.
Yeah, if you do a split, those 2 years got to be did in prison. Then the 3 years you're on probation.
No.
Well, I mean, based on just this, of course, it's gonna go. To me, it's according to their records. I would be okay with it. This first time offender, no other trouble, non-violent, don't have a violent history, hadn't been arrested or incarcerated for anything else.
Okay, so let me give you this. So if you were one of the 4, if one of the 4 never been in trouble before, just have a drug problem, they offer him 5 years with probation for 1 year split with 6 months in the county jail and the other 4.5 on probation. Who would agree with that?
No.
When you put drugs into it, it has to be a mandated drug since for me, some type of rehabilitation.
Exactly.
But
if you're going to add drugs to it, it's going to have to be some type of mandated drug rehabilitation program.
But that's the problem. We don't always have a mandated rehabilitation program.
We don't always. But I'm saying for the scenario that he's bringing up, and for us on the phone, how do we feel? That's what would be appropriate. So we don't know what they're going to do because there's a lot of stuff they don't have or do have. But if you're saying drugs, we have to look at a system and say, okay, if we're going to say, what about this and what about that? That would be sufficient because we don't have a drug program. If he was to throw that into that scenario for that person, then I'm back to the original split. But he said if there was a drug situation. So something's going to be brought up for us to know that there's a drug situation.
90% of the time, those type crimes gonna be drug related. I mean, they selling the Cadillac converters to get drug money.
But if there's concrete proof that there's drug that there is, and you saying basing the sentence on that, if that's known information to law enforcement, and it's as far as the judge and sentencing, if that's known information, because you put that in there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so they do, man. It's a lack of programs or not, they do drug mandated sentencing.
But
they do. I mean, it's up to the judge. He can mandate something. There are places. Now it's up to you. You can either do it. He's gonna probably offer you that option if you choose that you can't do it because there's no location. I think you're gonna probably be trying to find a location and get that okay with the judge before the judge even throw it to you. I'm sure it's gonna be an option. Because he's not throwing you something that's not an option.
But Veronica, let me tell you.
Some people say they have a drug problem get a lesser sentence too.
That's true.
But what you said there, that's what I'm saying. It's gonna have to be something to know for him to give you that option. It's gonna be something. He's gonna know something. You have to have a history of it. You have to have something.
Veronica, you're absolutely right. And here's what Tuscaloosa is missing. And we've talked about that resource center of a location for a drug rehab. I mean, we have the Bradford Center or something like that, but we don't have a long term treatment facility, in house treatment facility here in Tuscaloosa County.
Right, and the judges here know that.
Wow.
So just for sake of conversation with us on the phone, if a judge, if there is a history, there's going to have to probably more likely be documentation and be known, and then he's going to throw that option. If we don't even have to offer, but there's no document, and if we do have to offer, there's no documentation of it, that's not going to be on the table. But as far as our conversation purposes, I'll be okay with that as a mandated drug program. If we don't have it, then you go back to the split, non-violent, no other charges, never been in trouble before, probably has no record. Why put him in straight prison for 5 years for stealing cattle converters?
No, that's a completely different scenario. Now I agree with you on that one, Vermont.
But then he was saying, but it was just, but they just said, no matter what it is, as long as it's non-violent, like it could be the converters, it could be they stole the car
Could be
and tried to sell it. I mean,
stealing
no
clothes at the
history,
mall.
and it's non-violent because they can only go by what the person's history is, and he just gave a scenario of their history.
Stealing Louis
Okay, but what
Vuitton.
if it's an investigation and connect them to other crimes in the process of?
I mean, that's just then you go back to the thing where you got a history that's gonna speak for itself. That's gonna be taken into account 9 times out of 10.
Well, let me, because see, my thing is,
But I think we be adding too much stuff. Like we trying to stick with what he asked, what Darren said though.
I'm saying, but what if it wasn't Mercedes that they stole the Cadillac converter off, but instead it was your Cadillac converter they stole off your car, and now you have to go and you got to get your car repaired, put a new Cadillac converter on it, and they caught them. Would you be satisfied with them having?
Yes, because then you start to make this a whole different situation. Because then you can talk about restitution. You can start talking about stuff like that. That's why I said we take it too far off of his question. When he asks us a question, we have to leave it on the question that he's asking until he adds something else. Because I can when he asks us a question, I can ask something else. Dan can ask something else. Navarre can ask something else. You can ask something else. We start going too far left. Like if it's a person and it's still non-violent, he pays restitution. You're gonna start doing different things then. He said it the first way, then he said, okay, well, what if drugs is involved? See, now you just took it all the way to if it's a person, it's gonna be different with a person than this company, Mercedes, because Mercedes got the law. They ain't gonna even have to worry about it no more. The lawyers on that as far as what's feasible to them and what's not. But he's just saying for our state, what just happened, this story I just talked about, and he just said something about keep it on what he's saying, then you got to go with what's offered in that area. And we don't have that. But if we had it and he offered it, then I would say the mandated drug rehabilitation.
They don't have rules.
But then when you start saying, oh, but it's a personal thing, then you start getting personal feelings about it. And our personal feelings really can't affect what the judges don't do. But a company's feelings can. Your history can. So I'm just trying to say stick to what he's asking, because then we start throwing too many other balls, and then we just start swinging bats.
Tuscaloosa County does have a drug court, and they have to go to drug court.
Yeah, they do.
So when people are like for drug charges, like I said, they have to attend drug court certain nights a week. They have to pay restitution. They have to go to certain classes on Saturday.
So that's why I said that. What I said when he threw that part in there.
Well, I'm gonna correct y'all.
There's Tuscaloosa drug court for veterans as well. So if they happen to be veterans and something is related in that aspect, it could possibly fall into the veterans treatment court.
Yeah,
all in that aspect.
There is a veterans court in mental health
out of prison.
But they don't have the drug court anymore.
They don't have
They got the veteran treatment court. Yes, it is. They have Tuscaloosa County has it, Jefferson County, and if Tuscaloosa County doesn't have it, you can request to be to have your case.
Exactly. That's why I was saying the judge will tell you at that point, even if we didn't have the place, if he's going to take the drugs into account as Daryl's situation, then you will have to find your own. And if you can't, and if the most likely the judge probably just say, well, you're gonna have to go to Jefferson County. We're gonna, they have arrangements. And if there's no openings, then you got to do whatever he's gonna do, whatever is on the table next for him to do.
Correct. But they don't. We there again. We have mental health court and we do have veterans court. They have now what they call. They don't have what they call drug court. They have second chance programs now. It's pretty much the same thing, but it's called second chance.
That's the
Or it actually deals with drug cases, mental health cases, and all that kind of stuff. So basically nonviolent crimes.
Correct.
So it's a veteran treatment court. Mm-hmm. So it's not veterans drug court, it's veterans treatment court.
Mm-hmm. There you have community corrections right there on Darnell Cassette Street, right there next to the dog pound.
It's not there anymore.
Not there anymore? Okay.
Yeah. That's actually all that is part of the Humane Society. Actually, the program we're talking about, I work there now, so that's why I know it's called Second Chance or Community Corrections.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like it's so many scenarios, but like I always try to focus on what you're saying. And if we're talking about, I'm looking at these 5 men, 3 working for the agencies, using their vehicles to take these stolen parts, not from a company and from a person, is just as important. It's equally as important. Mm-hmm. But what I'm saying is that you have a barrel full. You don't have one off of a car or two. You have a barrel full. So your sentence is probably going to be way more than if it had just, you know how they used to do that? They used to go on some of these car lots, especially when it used to be like Automax and places like that. Mm-hmm. They come to work, 3 or 4 of their cars and hit with somebody coming to the converters off of. Yeah. The truth is the Mercedes. They're going to prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. You've messed up the contract that they have with the company, and I won't say that they'll lose the contract. You just get some bad apples out of it sometimes. So I won't say they'll lose it, but they may. You put them at risk, and then now you have them seeing that you use their vehicle to commit a theft, and then for the ones who accepted it, doggone well they know that those were stolen.
Okay, no paperwork.
But is there going to be a discrepancy in the sentencing? Is there going to be a discrepancy in who's charged with what? There is. And a lot of times receiving stolen property usually you get just as much trouble, supposed to be.
But you said that it happened over a year ago?
It was a year-long investigation.
Okay. Wow.
But it was on, they got it on camera. It was on video.
So
the guy on the news, the officer said it was a year-long investigation.
Did they recover any of them?
I don't know.
More than likely they didn't. Once they got to that,
once those guys got them, there ain't no telling what happened with them.
You know that joke. He's trying to melt them down, get what he can get off of that weight. But listen, we there again. This is a big topic. This prison thing is a big topic because, like I said, we still hadn't got to. You know how we talk about police mistreating, police brutality. We hadn't even got to correction officer brutality yet. So this is a big topic that I think a lot of people don't pay attention to. And funding that's a topic also. Once again, they saying building the prison with CARES Act money. Now that money came from the government. That should have been used, as I say again, on raises, teachers pay, mental health workers pay, anybody that work for the state pay. Even during the COVID time, they should have been given hazardous pay because they had to go to work, but they kept the money. So what makes that money any different than Medicaid?
Hmm. And it's so much. It's just so much. It's management.
They don't want to do that. They want to make sure that our species die off much quicker.
It don't make any difference. There's no difference between that money and Medicaid money. Just the fact that now you don't use federal government money to build a state facility. So to me, you shouldn't have a problem when the state decides, not the state, when the federal government decides to step in on the prison.
Somebody,
pay for it.
I think I read something saying the Department of Justice is going to look into the Costello Vaughn situation. I did read something somewhere about that. But there again, this topic is widespan. I mean, we know there's a lot of things need to be done. Then if they put them in trailers, oh my goodness. Oh, y'all know them trailers ain't good. Ain't feasible enough to keep those people safe. What if a tornado come through and all that? Just all kinds of things that people say and do. But I'm all for it.
They had kids.
Here's where I'm at. Now I'm looking from a police point of view, and I'm looking from a correction officer point of view. Well, I'm gonna just say a probation officer point of view, not correctional. Yes, I agree that our law enforcement Title 32 need to be revisited. It is something that it's sad to see when a man get possession of marijuana in the first degree and get a 20-year sentence, and a man that stole $300,000 from a corporation getting five years. I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that a man that got caught with 10 pounds of marijuana getting a $1.5 million bond, and another man that just killed somebody get a $60,000 bond.
Jesus.
I have a problem with that. So do we need to revisit? Yes. But when we revisit, I think you need people that are down to earth inside. Like let's take Daniel Van Horn for example. He's been in the trenches of the prison system. He's seen some bad things. He's seen some good things. I think he would know what would be a great idea to implement to make our prison system a little bit better. From my point of view of law enforcement, I still believe homegrown people police their own communities better. Don't get me wrong, outsiders don't. But I'm just saying, I just see homegrown people seem to police their own communities better because they are vested in their own community. They know the people. They know the area. They're not just tunnel vision on one particular area of the community. They want to make things happen. That's just me. Now, can a person that comes from California move to Tuscaloosa do a great job? Yes. Yes. But I wouldn't want a person from California getting a job before a person that lives right here in Tuscaloosa. If there's an opening, that's just me. That's just me. The medical thing.
I can see that. I feel that way too. I think sometimes like with everything, there's an exception to the rule. If you've tried local, like I honestly wonder how many officers here are from here. I know they come from other rural areas like around in Alabama or close, because Tuscaloosa basically serves about 7 other counties for almost everything. But sometimes I think the bulk of your officers need to be from that area, and some of those in charge need to be with a little bit of a mix, because someone from somewhere else can always help you in your problem areas.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Now, first,
Now,
But I
recent,
totally believe that it should be the bulk of the community.
yeah, that's just me now. But look, this is a good carry on conversation. Like I said, we still hadn't got to the point of the abuse, brutality of correctional officers. We hadn't talked about uh, wardens. Um, I seen where one or two of them didn't got arrested and retired or resigned, forced to resign. Um, the contraband, getting inside, all of that stuff. That's all part of this prison debate that we're talking about. All of it.
And you
Not.
know what, Darryl, you talked about how, they use the funds. We talked about that before, how you want to use the funds for everything else. You want to build a capital. Even Republicans kick back on that. So you couldn't do that. Your cronies even kick back on that. Now you're talking about the prisons, but guess what? Those same cronies aren't going to kick back on the prisons because of the lining of their pockets. But doing the capital wasn't going to line their pockets. And it's so sad that I know someone that went to talk to get a consultation about having something done, and you know that they put a $20 fee in there talking about they have to use extra PPE. So why are you passing the patient the fee, and that is what the fee is for? How is that legal? The government just got through showing out how much money to help with the pandemic, and you're passing that cost. You got money, so you're not even passing the cost on. You're just gouging people. So now there's this for the extra PPE they use. If a person's having a procedure done, why do you need to use extra PPE? You're supposed to wear a mask anyway. You're supposed to wear gloves anyway. You're supposed to wear goggles anyway. So what extra PPP precautions?
That's true. Just gouge. Just
So some
gouge.
of these people just fight right down doing stuff that just should be caught illegal.
not in their pocket.
And then they talking about people don't want to work. Well, this is some of the reason why some people don't want to work. Every time you turn around now, there's an extra fee tacked onto something, and then their excuses since the pandemic. People went broke during the pandemic. People needed federal aid and assistance during the pandemic. Some people are still working away from out of home because jobs found out that it's just like with our garbage around here. When we had the tornado, I knew when we went to that one day that it was temporary till we got more trucks. I knew that was never going to change that. And then it became what? Well, we'll be that way from now. Did a drop in our pay? Did they stop going up on the garbage can? They go up with $1 every year. I don't know if they've done that. I think they may have finally put a cap on that. But if they continue to go up $1 every year on trash, the water and trash bill is gonna be like the power bill sooner than you think.
Oh, it's
So
we ain't even talk about that
it's
budget.
ridiculous.
We didn't even get a chance to talk about that budget yet. But yes, there was an increase in the water and sewage. I think garbage and water and sewage fees.
Yeah, so I'm like, how is everything increasing? Are y'all trying to get back the money that you feel like companies lost? Well, the companies, the companies that these utility companies, they didn't lose anything. Even when they gave you a break, when those grace periods were up, they still demanded their money, or you got cut off.
Right.
It didn't matter if it was a year. It didn't matter if it was 2 months. When it was over, you got cut off if you didn't pay, and to get back on, you had to pay all of it. So I don't understand. I don't understand where everything now is due to the pandemic. This fee has been attached to this. Y'all got all this money, all these businesses and companies. You remember the basketball team that got so much money, ended up turning it back because they were shamed? Y'all got all of this money. Don't act like y'all didn't get a piece of this money. Y'all worried about these folks that got the PVP loans, $20,000. Worry about these corporations. And some of these corporations that stayed silent, that still got it too. And now they're passing on more costs to you, saying they have to use extra PPE since today. But hold on. So you're attaching a $20 fee for PPE, but half y'all in this office don't even want to wear a mask.
Using the pandemic as an excuse.
Didn't even want to wear a mask. And you walk in the office, someone tell you, "Oh, we got the vaccine," or they don't tell you, they don't do it because they feel like they don't have to tell you, but they're not wearing masks. But then to have to go in there for certain things, that $20 fee is, everything we have to do a little extra PPP, extra precaution. Well, you're medical. The only thing that the people in medicine did extra when it came to that was they wore gowns, which you wore anyway with certain things, and they wore masks. And now the cost of an N95 or KN95 mask has gone back to the cost that it was pre-pandemic. So why are you passing on this fee for extra PPE? What is your extra PPE? You're still wearing gloves. You're still using gowns. You use masks. I mean, anytime if you're doing a procedure that has to be sterile, you're using the same thing because this procedure has to be sterile. That was before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic. Certain procedures have to be sterile.
Well,
So it's just this money thing. Like I said, all of this stuff is about money, but then it's always they don't have any money. Or the cost has to be passed on to this person, that person. Or the government gives them money, but they use it for something that is not allocated for or wasn't designated for. And a lot of times the government even puts stipulations on how they can use it. But what do? They find ways and lawyers to get around. The states find ways and lawyers to use to even get around that money. This is like this thing going on in Florida. They're going to get some assistance, but I hope that people get the assistance the way it should. Because it's always going to be some scams. It's always going to be not only just scams, it's going to be prison, schools, everything ought to be standard to par.
well, y'all, we're gonna take up part 3 on next week and part 4 look like. I mean, it's just. I think, like Daniel said, this is being a teachable moment for everybody. I mean, this incident with Costello Vaughn is kind of awakening people eyes to the prison system. But I think what we're also doing is that we're getting a chance to reevaluate: are we being too harsh? Are we being not harsh enough? But are we not treating people humanely? And that's what I'm saying now. After it all,
and I think with all of us, we still feel victim 1st.
Mm-hmm.
That's my thing. It's always victim 1st.
Mm-hmm.
Always.
I agree with Laura Bell saying, "Hey, pay the money back to the victims." Out of these Cadillac converters, if it came to 5,000, 6,000, 12,000, they divide by 3, make them all pay it back toward it. But what if they're not paying? What if they don't pay? They're just like a bill collector. They call you, and you don't answer your phone. You stop working. We got men and women that's on child support and refuse to work. So what do?
Right. And now, if they don't pay, because this is to Mercedes. Mercedes is their victim.
Mm-hmm.
So every time they get a job, Mercedes probably be in their pocket. And Mercedes, and then again, they might just chunk it. They may just chunk it up.
Got no choice until they can get some feed.
Right, because they can't exactly.
And let's talk about restitution. We talked about restitution briefly. Say if you are owed $5,000 and the court only ordered them to pay $50 a month, how long is it gonna take for you to get to $50,000? That's 10 years, isn't it?
So exactly, it's gonna take, and they gonna pay that's what they gonna pay, that 50.
That 50. That's almost 10 years to get paid back on restitution. But we're gonna have another sector, hopefully. But I don't
But
know.
if they don't pay that, then they can go back to prison.
Well,
That was $50, so they have to do to pay for that. May not have a job when they get out to do the restitution.
If it's just $50, they're gonna get that from mama, grandmama, auntie. They're gonna get that from somewhere. They'll go cut their grass probably. They really don't want to go back to jail. They're gonna get that from somebody in the family or girlfriend, wife. They're gonna get that from somebody. If it ain't but $50, if that $50 keep them out of prison, yeah, there might be one time where they're gonna go cut some grass.
Well, y'all, we're gonna finish this up on next week. Y'all have a great weekend. We appreciate everybody that chimed in on this conversation and keep chiming in on it. we'll take up another sector of next week, and then we'll move on to another subject. So, y'all have a great weekend, and we want to thank everybody that chimed in from our community conversations and the TTown 411. We're broadcasting this also on Soundbooth Radio and Soundbooth TV, as well as my Facebook page. And we just want to thank everybody for each and every week for chiming in and being with us and giving us your point of views relating to issues right here in Tuscaloosa, as well as the state and the country. As always, y'all.
Roll Tide.
Yeah, roll tide.
And prayers for Tua. Prayers for Tua. Good Lord Almighty. Pro Tua. Pro Tua.
Big weekend.
Now, Tua got in touch. Tua was taken to the hospital tonight.
Oh, okay. Well, dang.
Because he probably shouldn't have played.
Oh, my.
He was taken to the hospital. But, yeah. Now, Tua, he probably had a concussion and probably he came back too soon. So he's at the hospital. But he's able to move out of extremity. So praying for Tua. They were real bad hit tonight. He did. And he had just taken a bad hit last week.
He needed to become a sports commentator.
All right,
so y'all talking about brother or the
Tua?
No, talking about Miami. Miami played tonight.
Miami?
Yeah. All right. Hey, well, y'all have a good night. We'll see y'all on Tuesday.
Okay, y'all. Appreciate it.
Everybody.
All right.
All right.
We'll see y'all.